In terms of what he is displaying, in terms of behaviour, slimy.
Red flag, real life, green flag, telly.
There is no excuse. There is none at all.
One less EasyJet flight for ITV to pay for.
The Love Island photographer did him dirty. Jess and Whitney have unfollowed each other online.
Someone popped that in my comments the other day.
Yeah. And I can tell you why.
The US are not having it.
They're like, no thanks.
No
one night
thanks,
stand.
keep it. The trolling and discourse that happened straight away was just astronomical.
Welcome to Showbiz Fix, sponsored by Bingo. This is your destination for the inside scoop on all our celebrity exclusives and the lowdown on everything you're loving this week. Today we'll be debriefing the chaotic first few days of Love Island, sharing all the secrets of Dua Lipa's wedding this weekend, and the latest updates on Mystique ahead of a massive few days of live music. I'm joined by our fave, Hal Davies, and we've called in the big guns to help us make sense of Love Island madness. It's debrief queen, Shauna Page. First of all, thank you for joining me for Showbiz Fix's first birthday.
We made it. They said we'd never get here.
I know. Roll on. I'll still be here in like 30 years, being like, Hal's here. But just to be slightly cringe as well, it was about a year ago that Hal encouraged me to start posting videos online about Love Island.
Okay.
And so it's special that you're here because you're one of the friends I've made online through posting on Love Island. And Shauna defends me and we all repost each other.
Yes,
So
in Felicity Cross we trust.
Well.
Okay.
So I love that you're here to help us make sense of all of this because
You're welcome.
if anyone's more dedicated to Love Island than me, it's Shauna.
Okay, that's...
I'm here to serve.
Yeah. Right, so let's talk about this year's cast. Who are your faves?
My fave so far is Robin, which I know is quite controversial because some people are just like, she's doing too much. And I'm just like, she's doing what she's supposed to do. She's high energy, she's grafting. And you know what? Providing she's one of the younger cast members, she's showing the girls how to put in the work.
Yeah, she is like fully going after what she wants.
Yeah.
She's having these conversations where she's like, just making sure we're on the same page. It's the friends thing. She's being very mature about how she's going.
Yes, I had such respect for her having that conversation with Sam. Even when George tried to, invite her to the hideaway, she was like, no, actually, yes, I'm really into you, but actually that's very disrespectful to Sam. I know I'm not really into him, but he deserves that respect. And again, a lot of maturity being shown.
Yeah, I have a controversial answer to my fave.
Oh, go on.
But my decision always comes from a place of like who's being good telly.
Okay.
And I think Aidan is being brilliant.
Oh.
So Aidan is like your messy, classic Essex, Kent builder vibe. He is just playing all these girls. He's at the centre of a love triangle. He's telling this one she's sexy, kissing that one on the terrace. And for me, he so far is the MVP because all the drama's around him.
I mean, that's what you want, isn't
Absolutely.
it? You need those people on the show.
In terms of what he is displaying, in terms of behaviour, slimy. I'm sorry. Slimy. He has already got my back up and I'm just like, oh, for goodness sake. But at the same time, entertaining, absolutely carrying the show already. And it's so crazy because you're like, this behaviour is despicable, but no, I don't want him to be voted off. Actually, I want him to stay.
Yeah. It's like red flag, real life, green flag, telly.
Yes.
Also, I feel like, if you can survive, if your relationship can survive with someone like that around, then, it stands you in good stead, doesn't it?
No, absolutely.
Yes.
I think something's changed this year with the cast in that they all seem a bit more chaotic. It's giving like early Big Brother, early Love Island vibes, where they all seem a bit less filtered. What do you think?
Yes, you can absolutely see that. And I'm really enjoying it. It feels very authentic. Like you said, very early days Love Island. Everyone is just gelling, just normal conversation. The conversations don't feel forced. Can we have a chat? Can we go here? They're pretty much like ushering, gesturing, like you would out in the real world.
Yeah.
It feels very, very nice. I'm liking it.
But also, is that not such a great thing? Because that's why I think maybe it feels like those early series of Big Brother and stuff, because you're going in and you don't know who these people are already,
which is
so nice that you can get to know someone. Whereas sometimes it's like, God, you know someone's entire life history before they've even stepped foot in the villa.
Absolutely.
I did feel, though, a bit like with Opie, because, you know, people were sort of being like, oh, he's a West End performer, he's done this and done this. And people were already making their minds up about who he was as a person and, you know, everything else about what he might do in the villa before he'd even stepped foot in it. So that was a bit annoying, but I get you, across the board, that's not really happened.
Yeah. The one thing that people have highlighted, though, about this lineup is the lack of diversity, which is a growing problem on Love Island. There's only one black girl, there's only one black boy, and funnily enough, they're coupled up. Always the case.
It's a conversation that we're having yearly. And it becomes frustrating. It does. Because there is no excuse. There is none at all. And I think where we have this year, we've got Love Island USA literally starting at the same time as Love Island UK, sorry. You can see the difference.
Yeah.
And I think this year it really highlighted it. I have seen a lot of conversation on social media from the Black community that have said they've actually switched over to Love Island USA this year because they felt they were seeing themselves on the screen. There was more representation. And unfortunately, even though these are conversations we have highlighted to Love Island UK on a yearly basis, Love Island UK cannot hide from it this year because of the timing that Love Island UK and USA had started and the cast pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all aware of it, but actually seeing it was like a whole other story. And it was like, whoa, okay, this is getting a bit silly.
Yeah,
now.
no, 100%.
And actually, I found it quite difficult, the first episode, watching OP and Angelista. It was... Normally, we see a game or a challenge happen, and that's how the couples come together. And so, although we tend to see the one black guy and the one black woman come together, it is still sort of navigated by those games and challenges. However, we were actually watching it in live time, where you could see that they turned to each other and could see they had no choice. And actually they had to lean on each other in that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it's really telling as well. And we said about this earlier, the energy that Opie has when he's talking to Yasmin, who's this blonde white girl, versus when he's with Angelista, like you can tell sort of where his preference maybe lies. And hopefully there's going to be some bombshells coming in. We did reveal one earlier today, a lad called Luca, whose sister is Georgia Smith.
Crazy.
I know.
Love it.
I was like, does that mean when it's the friends and family / pop star performance, think of the cost savings?
Do you know what I mean? Get his sister on.
I know. So fingers crossed he's going to go in.
One less EasyJet flight for ITV to pay for.
Exactly.
And then we've got to watch, like, you know, the orchestrated cast member dance moves, you know, like happen.
I think Georgia Smith's music would be a lot more in keeping with a lot of the Love Island fan base as well. So love that.
I know. I love that they've done that. Okay, let's talk about a couple of the other people. George was the first night bombshell, and a lot of people had opinions about this because the Love Island photographer did him dirty, as is always the way. And in motion, I get it a bit more. He's got great chat. But people noticed that he was basically Casey O'Gorman's doppelganger. And what's really funny is I put up a video about this because I basically put his Love Island profile picture into reverse image search to find his Instagram, which is what I do to try and like get more pictures of them. And it said, this is a picture of Casey O'Gorman. And I was just like, oh my God, if Google says it, it must be true.
Once honestly, when I watched, when I saw him come in, I was like, Casey, what are you doing here again? Like, please leave us alone. I've had enough.
I love Casey.
And then that's when I got home from the Love Island launch and I was like, no, I can't go to bed. I need to do a post about this. And I put a side-by-side picture and it was just, you can't even separate them other than the blonde hair.
Do you know what I think though? Is you aren't a real Love Islander unless you've had a slightly negative comparison. So the fact that he has been compared to Casey, I think is a massive compliment for George. And, you know, his longevity. Casey was compared to Lord Farquhar of Shrek. So I think it's slightly better than that at least. I just want to touch on Ellie and her handbag last night. I don't know whether you saw this.
Okay.
So Ellie, they're all around the fire pit and they're getting the text message about what was going to be happening. And basically in the bombshell twist, Ellie, George and Yasmin were allowed to choose who to send home. Any reason. It didn't have to be to fancy them or anything like that. And Ellie had a handbag with her. It's the first time we've ever seen this on Love Island. A little yellow Prada. And I was like, girl wants to get her bling out. I get it, fine. But it now makes me think that she was told that she was leaving the villa. This is my hunch. Because why else would she have a handbag?
Why would she have a handbag?
Well, maybe it's a bit inspired by Pink Pantheress. You know how Pink Pantheress went through this whole stage where she would only perform with a little handbag on? She'd be like on stage with her handbag. And I was like, this is camp. I love this.
But
Like,
mind you,
good.
they're really, really pushing the sponsored, pre-loved whole thing.
Oh,
So, and they're really trying to push for this whole eBay pre-loved thing. And they really want...
like the home of designer and that kind of
home
thing.
of designer, and they also have I think their authenticating service. So maybe that's why she had the little Prada bag.
I'm here with the wild theories, like she knew it's a fix, and you're like, no, it's probably just that. That makes more sense.
You're like, it's a fix. I'm like, she wants to be a pop star. You're like, no, it's a sponsorship. Babe's just like, right, okay, that does make sense.
I think because they're really hot on it now, aren't they?
They're like, we don't just do clothes, we do designer bags too.
Designer pre-love.
Guys, thank God we're all here. Well, this would be a shambles.
We're all here, we're all awake.
Okay, so I have got some teasers of what's going to be happening in tonight's episode.
Okay.
So some of this, by the time Showbiz Fix comes out, might have been in the lunchtime first look. So this probably isn't a Showbiz Fix exclusive, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yes.
So as we know, Ellie and Samraj aren't going home. At the twist, it was revealed that they were going to stick around, and they basically head off to the hideaway, where they go on dates with two new bombshells. Now, I don't believe that one of these is Georgia Smith's brother, unfortunately. I want to quickly jump on to general Love Island, because Hal, you've got a really fun Islander interaction to share with the class.
Well, I feel a bit bad about this. So on Saturday night, I went to Charlie XCX hosted this sort of pop-up party thing that I went to.
Okay.
And I felt really lucky. I'm a big Charlie stan. I was right behind the decks. And there was a few people dancing around. And there was this one girl going crazy. And I was like, love her energy. She's having so much fun. And then there was like some fans like asking her for photos. I was like, she must be someone. She must be somebody. I don't know who she is. Anyway, it was only the next day when about 10 people sent me this video like, why are you on Yasmin from Love Island's Instagram? I was like, oh God, how awkward. I didn't realize that. And she's obviously now just hosting the spin-off. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. I messed up here, didn't I?
I love
But she was fab. And I was like, love that. Yeah, because I feel like, you know, people have a perception of what a Love Islander is. And I was like, no, this girl was like loving Charlie XCX deep cuts. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that from you at all.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I wanted to ask you, who gets the best and worst reactions when you make videos about them?
Oh, what, in this particular series?
Just in general, in the Love Island universe.
Oh,
Who do your fans love?
So the fans obviously love the big three. I will always get the best reactions on my videos when it comes to Yasmin,
Yasmin's
Shakira, and of course Tony. The worst will always be Belle.
Oh, Belle Hassan.
Yes, it will always be Belle. It will always be the worst.
Everyone just gets really het up about her. She just sort of rage baits now, doesn't she?
Yeah, she absolutely rage baits.
There was like a lot of anger around that series though, wasn't there? So
yeah.
There was. And I think here's the issue. I think Belle came out and sort of said, you know, this was production-led. This is why I came off this way on screen, and sort of went down this path that she was almost the victim in this situation.
Yeah.
However, after that period of time, and then we kind of got the scoop from you about the whole Scott dentist football saga.
Scott went to the dentist. That's all you need to know.
Scott went to the dentist.
Yeah.
And it was like, after that, nobody was listening to a word that Belle was saying.
Oh.
And so she's kind of now changed avenues, and it's now like rage bait. I'm now basically saying, you know what, I'm the villain. She's now playing into the villain role. And now everyone's like, well, hold on. You were the victim not too long ago, and you wanted us to sort of feel bad for you and that you'd been done wrong by welfare, by production. And now you're like, actually, you're saying, you're making videos saying people should, you know, she walked so people could run.
Yeah. Look, she's trying to make it work. The drama from that series lives on though, because I've got a Showbiz Fix exclusive.
Oh. Okay.
So basically, Jess and Whitney have unfollowed each other online.
Someone popped that in my comments the other day.
Yeah. And I can tell you why.
Oh.
So basically, since All Stars, Jess and Whitney haven't spoken. Jess has reached out to Whitney a number of times and been completely aired. Now, there was one incident a month ago when Whitney tried to call Jess back, but Jess was at work. She's got an aesthetics business. Then Jess tried to ring her again and Whitney didn't answer. So the only interaction that's happened between them since All Stars in January was all of a sudden the other day when Whitney unfollowed Jess. Jess saw this and was completely blindsided because she was like, I've been trying to speak to you. Yeah. Like, what's going on? So she unfollowed back. And it's all basically because Whitney's never apparently got over what happened on All Stars, which was this row at the fire pit. During a challenge. And throughout All Stars, Whitney was saying, charge it to the game. You know, we all understand this is a TV production that sort of, you know, if we fall out, it's because of that. But it feels like Whitney's really taken whatever happened to heart, because these girls who have been best friends, you know, really good mates since series 10 have now completely fallen apart, and Jess has no idea why. And there's just been this mad unfollow overnight.
It's such a shame, isn't it, when you've actually got a friendship and then it's like one argument on a TV show and then you stop speaking. What a drama.
Yeah. That must be quite difficult for Jess, especially seeing how close Whitney is sort of getting to Millie.
So this is all happening with the backdrop of Whitney's in America this week with Millie, Lucinda and Sammy. Yeah. So now I'd imagine that Jess is spiraling, thinking, are they all talking about me over there? Is that happening because of this? Ooh. Anyway, let's move on to happier things. Okay. Dua Lipa's getting married this weekend.
Oh, congratulations, Dua.
What do we know how? So Sicily, it's all kicking off.
So it is happening in Sicily. So we saw the photos last Sunday of Dua and Callum Turner having their official, you know, proper, like, signing the actual form in Marylebone Town Hall. So the deed is done, but the big celebration is happening in Sicily. So they flew out on Wednesday by private jet. They have basically closed off half of Palermo, which, if you've ever been to, is gorgeous, very historic city. And it's going to be like a proper massive 3-day extravaganza. So I know that Charlie XCX and Tuvalu are flying out today. Mark Ronson's on the guest list. Elton John is rumoured to be performing.
Oh my
TBC.
goodness.
But like a big, big deal. And it sounds insane. So they're staying at £1,000 a night hotel.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they've also just like basically shut off 2 squares in the middle of the absolute centre of this big city. They've just closed off 2 squares for their own public event, you know, their own private events.
And I read that they'd made locals sign NDAs.
Yeah.
They've literally been knocking on it, sign this. Mad.
Stop.
So it's like a big production. Apparently they went there last year and sort of really fell in love with it, and they thought, this is the place we're going to do it. But it's like a big, big wedding. There's multiple venues. There's multiple squares that they're doing, you know, different events and stuff in. And there's loads of stars going in for it. So
I was going to say the guest list. I can't wait to see the guest.
I can't wait to see the dress, because the town hall outfit.
The town hall, the hat was absolute tea.
So chic.
Yeah.
And so I do think there's going to be a lot of outfits, because there's a lot of different events happening throughout the whole wedding.
Has she sold it to Vogue or anything like that?
I don't think so. So the rumor I heard was that she couldn't quite come to an agreement with Vogue about the terms of how it would be done. Maybe that has changed since, but that was what I'd heard a little while ago.
Imagine turning down Vogue.
But, you know, she did post photos from their service last Sunday just on Instagram out of the blue.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more of that. And also, look, although they have like closed off some of these squares and some of these venues and stuff, you're still in the center of a big city. You might see people to sign NDAs, but realistically, there's going to be some cameras around.
Get a drone up, Hal.
Well, I think there'll be plenty of drones around.
Yeah.
And also, you know, you have to think, Callum Turner is now the hot favourite to be James Bond. Dua Lipa is one of the biggest British pop stars in the world. This is basically like the biggest British power couple since Posh and Becks.
I thought you were going to say since Wills and Kate.
Well, you know, royals excluded. So there's so much interest world over of, you know, what are these people going to do?
Yeah.
And also, let's just admit it, they're both absolutely gorgeous. So we want to see what they look like on the big day.
Yeah. I was really excited, though, with all the bubbling excitement around Mystique.
Oh, yeah.
This is very much my era.
My era too.
You were really excited by this, weren't you?
So when I saw this page randomly pop up on my Insta feed, I was like, what's this? And I clicked on it and it was only a few followers and it was a Mis-Teeq page. And I instantly looked at the bio. And when I saw Sicily's, Sabrina and Alicia, their actual official pages tagged in the bio, I screamed the house down. I was like, no way, this can't be.
Yeah.
And I have been following that page relentlessly ever since. And they have just been teasing and teasing, showing old clips of like performances, concerts and things they've done. And then they dropped it. They dropped the news. And honestly, I feel like I went lightheaded.
Yeah. And what did you think of the BGT performance? Was it good?
I thought it was
from
brilliant.
A critical point of view.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought that, I mean, they all look incredible. They can all move and they can all still sing. I mean, what else do you need, you know?
I know.
But so it's all basically building, isn't it, to this show called One Night Stand, which is going to be at Wembley Arena in September. And I feel like off the back of that performance, I will be buying a ticket, you know?
But you've got a hunch.
I have got a hunch. Look, the lyric in Scandalous is, a one-night stand just ain't enough. You can't have a whole big warm-up show at BGT and then one show at Wembley Arena just for one show. I'm like, surely if you're calling that show One Night Stand, then you're going to have a tour called the One Night Stand Just Ain't Enough Tour across the UK 2027. Like, surely that has to happen, doesn't it?
This has been the biggest critique I've seen across social media, is that it was just the one show. This is like something everyone from this era never would have saw coming. I mean, we're seeing a lot of reunions happen within like girl bands and boy bands happening, but Mis-Teeq, you know, we've pretty much just seen Alicia in the public eye ever since, and we just didn't think that was going to be an option.
And
so
also,
now you've given it to us. Hello.
There was also a load of legal spats and stuff between them. Like, they've not been on good terms for a long time. So that's why it was a real surprise when they did come back together. But yeah, I feel like what this is them dipping their toe in the water, testing to see, like, you know, do people want this? What's the reaction going to be? So I think that's probably why they booked one show. But look, I think my money's on more shows, because if this one goes well, why wouldn't they, you know?
This is what the Pussycat Dolls should have done. Instead of trying to sell out 50 dates in arenas.
Yeah, and it backfired. They've had to cancel some, haven't they?
Hal's giving me daggers here.
They cancelled the US ones, but the European ones have sold very well. I will support those girls because Nicole Scherzinger is a star, you know?
The US are not having it.
They're like, no thanks.
No thanks, keep it.
North America don't deserve them, you know? They're always welcome over here.
There's loads of other music going on this weekend, though.
There is so much. So actually, Mystique, it isn't just a one-night thing, because they are going to be popping up at Capital Summertime Ball, which is on Saturday at Wembley Stadium. There's loads of acts there, you know. Everyone in pop music is going to be there.
Apart from Dua Lipa, because obviously she's getting married.
She's getting married. Boyzone are doing their final two shows at the Emirates Stadium in Arsenal. That's Friday and Saturday. And then also Ariana Grande is kicking off her tour on Friday night in the US.
I don't feel like that's had much hype.
She's been quite quiet about it. I mean, she released the song last week, and it looks like the song might go to #1 tomorrow. So there is that sort of hype. But I think she's been quite quiet about the tour itself. So it'll be really interesting to see what she actually does on stage, because this is her first time in touring in like 7 years or something. You know, she's not done it. So I'm excited to see her back out there. I'm going to be waking up on Saturday morning, scrolling my feed.
Yeah.
I'll be quite honest. Since I heard that she'd released new music, I haven't heard anything since. It just went relatively quite quiet.
Yeah.
I think people were unsure about the song itself. I think there was really high expectations. And, you know, I think people now want a big pop banger from Ariana. She's like, I don't need to give you that. I'm going to do what I want to do. So, you know, props to her. But I think this is going to be sort of her last tour for a little while again. So we're going to see what she does in the US now coming up, and then she comes to the UK later in the year. So I'm very excited.
Okay. Now we're going to go on to Bin or Binge, which is something that we do every week on Showbiz Fix. I'm going to let Hal go first to show you how it's done. Hal, what are you binning this week?
I am binning fake showmances. This whole J-Lo, Brett Goldstein thing. It's all been, have they, haven't they? I mean, we know that they have, because in the trailer for that office romance film that comes out on Netflix, which they're promoting, they're blooming doing it in every room that they can. So I'm like, well, whether they're dating in real life is really beyond the question and irrelevant, because they've done it all already. They're now saying that they're not dating, but then there's a suggestion that they did date when the show was being filmed. I don't know. Anyway, I will still be watching because I love J-Lo, but I'm sort of over all of that speculation between those two.
And you're binging?
I am binging. Look, I don't want to be too much of a stereotype, but I went to Mighty Hoopla at the weekend and Jane McDonald performed on Sunday afternoon. I have never really thought that much about Jane McDonald's music or anything. I did not know she could sing and entertain as she can. She was absolutely phenomenal. I had no idea she could perform like that. She covered Ray, Where Is My Husband? And I was like, this is amazing. And she had a whole band behind her. And I am now binging Jane McDonald. And I'm also like, this is my campaign starts here for Glastonbury 2027. I think she'd be so good. She had a whole band on stage. She looked so good. And the vibes were impeccable. Everyone was having a great time. She is actually, you know, a national treasure, I think. And I will die on that hill.
I love that. Shauna, what are you binning this week?
I'm binning Love Island revealing the cast lineup.
Interesting.
It's got to go. It's got to stop. I think especially after this year, it was even more chaos again because Love Island UK and Love Island US had revealed their cast lineup within like a day of each other. And the trolling and discourse that happened straight away was just astronomical. Completely unwarranted.
Yeah, so this was the questioning of OP's sexuality just because of his job. It was immediately on the diversity.
Yes.
But I guess it also is just like purely based on what people look like, really, isn't it? Yeah, they have a couple of pen portraits or whatever, but that's it, you know, and that's kind of against the point of the show, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I feel like it'd be a nice change to just see the cast when they come up and be like, ooh, like, sort of thing, instead of knowing what they look like for a week before it starts.
Yeah.
But I think definitely after the sort of the behavior that was displayed online, I just don't think it's fair that the cast members are completely unaware. You know, they're in holding in the villa. They have no idea that they're being spoken about in such a horrible way online.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what they've got to come out to.
Yeah.
I just don't find that fair. And I think, you know, if the public don't know how to behave accordingly, then you don't deserve it.
We do not deserve nice things.
We do not deserve nice things.
Okay, and you are binging?
I'm binging being a debrief queen.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm binging being a Love Island debrief queen. It's normally 6 to 8 weeks of absolute madness, no sleep.
Because so you watch the show and then you watch the new spin-off, The Debrief, then you make content. What time do you manage to go to sleep?
Normally, it's rarely before midnight.
I could never.
It's rarely before midnight, so I'll watch the programme. And of course, sometimes it always runs past 10. And within that, I'm also writing notes. You know, I need to keep track of things, forget, and make sure I don't miss anything important. And then I obviously have to run through my notes. Then I film, then I edit, then I post, then I engage with said audience.
Yeah.
And by the time I know it, I'm normally watching the debrief afterwards, the debrief podcast. And then I'll write my notes for that, but I'll leave filming for the next day.
Yeah.
So by the time I know it, it's after midnight. And then I'm back up at 5:30 because I'm a mum. So it's back to the school run.
But you love it. And that's
I love it. I love it. I enjoy it.
So my bin or binge very quickly. I'm binning all of this drama on Mobland to do with Tom Hardy leaving. And then, are they going to get Idris Elba in? Are they going to get Colin Farrell in? Sort it out, boring. There's so much speculation. I'm just, I can't be doing with it. Apparently it's because of his bad behaviour and arriving late. Just arrive on time for your work. Just saying. I'm binging the Lee Andrews drama just because specifically I'm binging Ellie Henman, who is, this man might be in prison, but she is continuing to reveal his wrongdoings, and we've got another major update coming soon.
Very excited.
So I did see a post from Katie this morning, which was quite interesting, actually.
There's more to come. That's your Showbiz Fix for this week, brought to you by Sun Bingo. Remember to subscribe to us here on the Sun Showbiz YouTube channel for all the inside TV and celebrity gossip. See you next week.